They left Ukraine in complete silence. 15 UJ-26 drones slipping into the night like shadows with engines barely whispering. Their mission was simple on paper: cross nearly 1,000 kilometers of defended airspace and hit the port Russia bragged was untouchable. But nothing about this flight was simple. Hours of darkness, fuel gauges dropping, frost building on their wings, and then, right at dawn, the fog parted just enough to reveal a Russian patrol boat sitting exactly where it shouldn't have been. Before operators near Kiev could even react, tracers ripped through the air, missing 2 drones by inches. 3 Igla missiles fired, 1 spiraled out, 1 flashed uselessly, and 1 slammed straight into the trailing Beaver, turning it into pieces that fizzled across the waves. 14 survivors pushed forward, knowing this was only the first punch Russia would throw, and the next one would be much harder to escape. 40 kilometers from Luga, the real giant woke up. Russia's S-400 system, its crown jewel, its billion-dollar shield, finally lit the sky with targeting beams. The drones had been ghosts until now, tiny blips made of carbon fiber and fiberglass, barely reflecting enough radar energy to look bigger than seabirds. But the moment the S-400 switched from search to kill, every operator watching knew things were about to get ugly. 2 missiles launched, each worth millions, screaming upward before diving toward the drones. But physics had other plans. The drones dropped to wave height, skimming the Baltic at 10 meters. The missiles tried to copy the dive, but at that angle their fins stalled, sending both multimillion-dollar weapons tumbling into the sea like stones. Embarrassing? Yes. Over? Not even close. Russia switched tactics, bringing out missiles built to turn midair like angry hornets. And the sky lit up all over again. Just when the surviving drones thought they'd slipped past Russia's deadliest defenses, another problem appeared, one designed specifically for them. For Panzer systems were waiting in a perfect overlapping box, a kill zone Russia had practiced again and again. The first Panzer locked onto the formation and launched a missile straight at the lead drone. But the drones reacted instantly, snapping into a spiraling wagon wheel maneuver that twisted through the sky like a swirling tornado of carbon fiber. The missile couldn't keep up. It lost its prediction point, veering wide into empty air. Frustrated, the Panzer crews switched to their brutal close-range cannons, filling the sky with a storm of metal. 5,000 rounds a minute turned the air into a flashing cube of lead. For drones were shredded the moment they crossed it. 2 escaped through the other side. The survivors had dodged missiles, cannons, and chaos. But Russia still had one more trick waiting ahead. As the remaining drones pushed closer to Luga, something strange hit the air, like an invisible wall. Russia's Krasuka-4 electronic warfare rig had activated, a massive jamming system disguised as a simple shipping container. In seconds, it flooded the battlefield with pure electromagnetic noise. Radios crackled into static. Control screens back in Ukraine flickered, then froze. It should have shut every drone down. But the Beavers had a secret, frequency hopping so fast the jammer couldn't grab hold. When Russia switched to full-spectrum scorched earth jamming, the drones flipped to autonomous mode, flying by terrain matching and altimeters alone. That kept them alive, but it also made them blind. And in that blindness, 3 of them slammed straight into a construction crane that didn't exist on their outdated maps. The impacts were sudden, violent, and final. 6 drones remained, alone, damaged, and burning through their batteries. And the hardest part wasn't even behind them yet. By the time the surviving drones reached the outskirts of Luga, Russia's air defense commander faced a problem no manual covered. His S-400 missiles cost $2 million each. The drones darting through the fog? 35,000. Firing another salvo made no sense. Every hit would still be a loss. So he made a brutal decision. Shut down the high-end system and bring out the old guns. Soviet-era Zu-23 cannons rolled into position, their crews hunched behind iron sights, relying on nothing but eyesight and instinct. The drones flew erratically, rolling every few seconds, too unpredictable for computers to track. So the gunners filled the sky with raw firepower, bright tracers tearing upward like meteor showers. One lucky burst punched clean through a drone, ripping it apart mid-roll. The debris spiraled down into the mist. The remaining 5 pressed on, but the battlefield was about to shift in a way no one expected. Just as the drones approached Luga's outer defenses, nature decided to join the fight. Warm morning air hit the cold sea, and the low fog suddenly rose into a thick, suffocating wall. In seconds, the entire area transformed into a ghost maze. Sensors failed. Thermal cameras washed out. Even Russia's best optics saw nothing but swirling gray. The drones skimmed just meters above the Baltic, trusting worn-out GPS units and fading batteries. That's when Russia activated GPS spoofing, broadcasting false coordinates strong enough to overwhelm real satellite signals. 2 drones obeyed the lies, turning sharply and plunging straight into the water. No one saw the splash. Only 3 remained, flying blind, engines straining, every second burning precious power. And ahead of them, Russia's last line of defenses waited inside that same blinding fog. As the last 3 drones slipped into Luga's industrial sprawl, Russia threw everything it had left into the sky. Port security teams armed with Igla launchers waited on rooftops, listening for the faint electric whine of drone motors cutting through the fog. They fired blind, hoping heat seekers would catch a lucky lock. One missile detonated close enough to shred a drone's control cables, sending it spiraling into a tank farm below. Overhead, an Mi-8 helicopter roared through the smoke, door gunners firing bursts at shadows. Its downwash slammed against the drones, threatening to knock them into pipes and steel towers. Water cannon trucks joined the fight, blasting columns of high-pressure spray powerful enough to snap propellers. Another drone took a direct hit and crashed hard onto concrete. Only one beaver remained now, battered, nearly blind, and running on the last sliver of battery life. And ahead of it stood the heart of the refinery. The final drone entered the maze of the refinery like a wounded animal, flying on failing sensors, outdated maps, and a 2-second delay through a satellite link barely holding together. Its camera flickered as fog, salt, and bullet damage distorted every frame. GPS readings jumped wildly from spoofing signals bouncing off steel towers. The operator had to fly on instinct, predicting where the drone would be rather than where it was. Water jets sliced past it. Rifle rounds sparked off pipes. The drone's battery alarm shrieked. Just 8% left. It dove low, weaving inches above the ground. A final blast of water spun it sideways, but the gyros fought to stabilize. With 3% battery remaining, it aimed for the cryogenic processor's base. Motors died mid-dive, but momentum carried it like a silent glider. It struck the steel column, thermite igniting a chain reaction that lit the refinery brighter than sunrise.